Welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast. Here is Munir Al-Azouzi from easymedicaldevice.com, and today we'll do the October update. So I hope you will enjoy it. So let's start. First, we will start with the implementing plan that the EU Commission is always updating, and we have the September update now. And there was some changes and also some elements that were planned but were not delivered. So we'll just go through that. So one of the first thing is about the common specification for non-medical devices. This was pushed to Q1 2022. So means that, it will not be implemented now. We have a lot of manufacturers that are now starting to contact us related to these non-medical device products. And because they want, if I can say, to be ready for EUMDR. Why? Because as soon as the common specification for those non-medical device products will be published, then you have 6 months to implement the EUMDR, which is really short also to identify a notified body if you don't have one. So this is something that I'm trying to warn you here. If you are a manufacturer or if you know a manufacturer of non-medical device products like contact lenses that are not used for view but for coloration of the eye, elements like adipolysis, so all those products that are used maybe sometime on aesthetic centers, all those elements that are used only for aesthetics should be now considered as medical devices. This list for non-medical device products are in Annex 16 of the EUMDR. So just check that and verify. And if your products or the products of the person you know is on this list, then please start your transition to EUMDR as soon as possible. Because after the publication of the common specification, this will be your countdown to the EUMDR. Within the 6-month period, you have to create all the documentation, create your quality management system, have a notified body that comes and give you a certificate if it is needed. So this is really short to do all this. So if you have any question about that, don't hesitate to contact me at info@easymedicaldevice.com. Next is about expert panel. So you remember that last time we discussed about the expert panel for MDR. So I just announced you that they opened the expert panel now for IVDR for class D devices. So meaning that anytime you will have a class D device that will go to a notified body, the notified body will have to push that to an expert panel for the performance evaluation. Before it was for clinical evaluation. Now it is for performance evaluation. So this is something that you have to be aware of. When you will be moving to a notified body, they are not the only ones that will be reviewing your technical file or your performance evaluation. An expert panel will also do that, so you have to be aware of that. Another news, EUDAMED. So EUDAMED is now in transition. So we had 3 days of EUDAMED not working because there was a major update. And if you go now to EUDAMED, there is new sections on the public database. So the first section is about devices. They have promised within the implementing act that, or within also the EUDAMED website, that the device registration module will be available by end of September or by September. So now, so we hope that after this major update, then this module will be available, and then manufacturers can start to register their devices. It will not be mandatory again, it's just voluntary for now, because mainly on the regulation it says that EUDAMED should be fully available so that you can do the registration. The vigilance reporting is missing, post-marketing surveillance, clinical investigation, clinical reporting also. So there are still some modules that are missing, but this one will be available. As soon as it is available, please go and check if you can register, because mainly if you have only one product, it's maybe easy for you to register. If you have a big portfolio, it can take time, so maybe better to start now. And there is Richard Julian from EUDAMED.com that can help you for that. So he's also providing some trainings if you don't know how to do that. So please contact Richard Julian from EUDAMED.com for that. And there is another section that we can see now on the public area, which is certificates. So I just went to it, so it's empty for now, but there you can see the certificates of the manufacturer that obtained the certificate from a notified body, also the one that were rejected. So it's also a new thing here. It's not only the one that were accepted, but also the one that were rejected. So there is a specific section for that. So now, like within the US FDA, for example, within the US database, you can go and check which products are registered in Europe, which company received the certificate, which one is considered as an economic operator, etc., etc. So there will be, as promised by the EUMDR, more transparency on all those information, which before were really not available to anyone. I remember before people were asking me, Munir, can you tell us where can I find the products that are CE marked, medical devices that are CE marked in Europe? And the only answer I can tell them is that there is no database, official database. Now we will have one with EUDAMED. So yeah, let's use that and let's have it as our database to verify that products are correct, to verify also that certificates of manufacturers are valid and there is no fraud here or anything that manufacturers will lie on saying they are certified when maybe they are not. So this is a tool that anybody can use, then it's public to verify those information. Okay, there is within the EUMDR, there is an article, Article 51 or 52, can't remember, for conflict in terms of classification of your device. So in case of a conflict between you and maybe your notified body about the classification of a device, you can reach the competent authorities where you are or your authorized representative is available. And then there will be a decision in terms of the classification of your device. The authorities just published a procedure which is called the Helsinki procedure 2021, which is defining the rules when a competent authority will receive this kind of request, meaning that sometimes the competent authority can already evaluate the classification of a device per the MDR and already tell all the manufacturers that yes, here is the classification of your device, and then everything is closed. The other way is that competent authorities can talk together. At a certain point, maybe a competent authority will have some difficulties with some products that are really borderline to define what is the classification. The Helsinki procedure is then defining the rules. The fact that you have to contact the competent authorities, that maybe the majority of the competent authorities already have an answer to that, so then there will be like a decision, a major decision, or there should be some meetings to discuss those specific cases, etc., etc. So this is an interesting document just for you to understand that if you have a conflict with your notified body or with the competent authority also in terms of the classification, there are some rules that will be implemented so that you can get satisfaction for it. I mean, get satisfaction, it depends on the outcome for sure, but mainly you will have a process where you can ask for someone to review that and to be sure. Because yeah, if you go from a class 2B maybe to a class 3, there is maybe some consequences for you, like the expert panel that will be involved, or more scrutiny on some of the information, or more details, etc., etc. So this is why having this tool will help you, if I can say, verify that you are really on the right classification. Because even me, I'm trying to classify some products, and sometimes I do a lot of research. I try to look at the rules. I try sometimes to interpret the rules, so to define the classification. And maybe sometimes I'm wrong. It's also the case. There is not, like in the US, a product code where a code is a product that is under this code is classified with a certain class. Here there are some rules and we have to interpret the rules. So it's why this is a good tool that maybe will be used by manufacturers. So be aware of that, and if you want to have all the information, you can go on the show notes and you'll get the information there. Okay, Medtech Europe issued a survey. I mean, we alerted about this situation since a long time now, but they issued a survey about the availability of IVD devices by May 2022. Why? Because by May 2022, the IVDR will be implemented, and we know already that a lot of manufacturers will not make it. Why? Because there are only few notified bodies, and the rules have completely changed between IVDD and IVDR, and I talked about that in another podcast that we'll look at that after. So mainly the Medtech Europe is making this survey so that he asked a lot of manufacturers, and the result is mainly that 22% of IVD tests that are actually on the market will be discontinued because they will not be transitioned to the IVDR. And also a lot of those tests that are already available on the market will maybe be lost, not because they don't want to be transitioned, but because there is a lack of possibility or resources to transition those devices. So there will be a lot of manufacturers that will be losing, if I can say, some of those products on their portfolio, or they have to wait for a certain time before they can make them active under IVDR. What is also mentioned in terms of companies, the highest loss in terms of those products will be with small and medium businesses. Those businesses that have low volumes, that have also some products that are niche products, which makes it a bit difficult to sustain with the new IVDR. And they predict that mainly these will be the companies that will be losing markets on IVD. So we see here that there is a lot of consequences of this new IVDR, and the problem is that a lot of manufacturers didn't make the transition at all. They were waiting, I don't know what, but they were waiting, and now they are a bit struggling because at the end, the last conclusion is about the notified bodies. There are only 6 notified bodies actually for IVDR, which makes it like a big challenge for IVD companies, because a lot of them will need a notified body. I mean, as I said on a previous podcast, a lot of them need a notified body now, when before they didn't need that. So what is predicted is about like 53% of manufacturers will need a notified body and don't have one. So it means that a lot of them make it, like 40%. But there are already still 53% that don't have a notified body. And notified bodies are taking a waiting list now because they don't have infinite resources. So each time you call them, they will maybe pick the phone and tell you, okay, we'll put your name on a waiting list. But more you are waiting, more the waiting list is big, and more you will be on the end for getting certified for your devices. So if you are on the IVD business, please read this Medtech Europe survey so that you understand the situation of other manufacturers, other IVD manufacturers. Okay, IMDRF is also issuing a guidance, proposed document on artificial intelligence. So we see and we hear a lot regarding medical devices that artificial intelligence will be the next novelty, the next thing that everybody will be working on. And even me, a lot of manufacturers are contacting us for software that are using this artificial intelligence or machine learning. And this is something that is really important, that now we have those guidances that are published. As I've told you, Europe is also issuing now artificial intelligence legislation. So this is something that will come, and we discussed about that with Abtin Rad from TÜV Süd, where we discussed about the fact that there will be maybe a need for medical device manufacturers that are also using artificial intelligence to have maybe 2 notified bodies, one for medical devices and one for artificial intelligence, because of this new legislation that is coming. So if you are on this business of artificial intelligence, IMDRF issued this guidance, and maybe it will be helpful for you to understand what you have to do to have this within your medical devices, because this is something that is new and there is maybe a lot of interpretation, and with those guidances you will know exactly where to go. So this is really important, and we'll talk also about that with the MHRA later. Okay, just wanted to announce you also that Easy Medical Device will be reissuing a session for the Green Belt certificate. So I remind you that the Green Belt certificate is a training that I have compiled, where we'll be talking about MDR, so mainly how to train your people on MDR. You know that a lot of notified bodies are asking you, are you trained on MDR? Have you trained your companies, your people on MDR? And we can offer you this training, and then offer you also the certificate that goes after that. So we'll go mainly within 5 days to discuss with about 5 modules, which are a general impression of the MDR, information about it, the structure, everything. Then we'll go about economic operators, how it is working. We'll go with classification, conformity assessment, device qualification. Then about technical documentation, clinical evaluation report, PMCF, PMS, and lastly about EUDAMED and UDI. So if you are interested to participate to this training, go on the show notes and you'll see a link for that, or go on Easy Medical Device and go to the course section or shop section. There will be mainly the link for getting to the training. So don't hesitate. This will be, I'm not sure there will be another session this year, but if there is too much participant, then maybe I will create a second session. But don't hesitate to go there so that you can be trained on EUMDR. Okay, now let's talk about Swissmedic. So we know that we have the Swixit that is existing now, and Swissmedic has made an information session on September 2nd, 2021, and there was a lot of information there about the Swiss situation, the regulation in Switzerland, etc. And everything is available. All the presentations are available. You can go also on the show notes. They will talk about clinical trials, about manufacturer obligation, about Swiss representative, importer, distributors, about registration and reporting of vigilance by economic operator, the post-marketing surveillance, etc., etc. So if you are interested to understand more the regulation in Switzerland now with this mutual recognition agreement that is not signed, then you can go there and you will see all the presentation made with all the information that will be maybe interesting for you to understand. Just remind you that Swissmedic has mainly copied a lot of things from EUMDR to Swiss, mainly because I hope they will sign this MHRA, so then everything will be similar. But there are still some subtleties related, for example, the Swiss representative, the importer, that is completely different than what you have actually in Europe. So it's mainly something that can be considered, and also the fact that Swiss manufacturers, when they go to Europe now, they are considered as a third-party company, so they are not part anymore of the European Union. So there are also some rules about that. But yeah, you can go to the show notes and see the link where you will be looking at all the presentation that were done during that day. Another news about Swissmedic, Switzerland. So it's about combination products. The same as what we have in EUMDR, they talk about products that are combined in the same package, co-package, or combined as an integral part. So if your product is combined, means that you have in a same package a drug, a vial with a drug, and for example a syringe that is empty, which is a medical device, then the syringe need a Swiss authorized representative, not the vial. So mainly this is the point here. But if your product is a drug and contains as an integral part a medical device, then it doesn't need a Swiss representative, mainly because it's considered as a drug and not as a medical device. So these are rules that are also applying to Switzerland. So if you are selling, even as a pharmaceutical company, a product that contains a medical device in Switzerland, you have to understand that a Swiss representative is also needed for placing your device on the Swiss market. There are some rules and transition periods for a Swiss representative, but mainly you have to have one available. And if you are still looking for a Swiss representative, Easy Medical Device is offering this service, so don't hesitate to contact us at swiss@easymedicaldevice.com. swiss@easymedicaldevice.com. We'll be really happy to help you on that. Now, MHRA. So after Swixit, Brexit, so what's happening within the UK? Because UK is also moving fast with also their regulations, guidance within medical devices. And first we have MHRA issued information about transforming the regulation of software and artificial intelligence as medical devices. As I've told you, MHRA is also transition related to artificial intelligence, and they have created a program for this with a lot of working projects, one about qualification, classification, pre-market, post-market, cyber secure medical devices, innovative access, SAMD, airlock. I'm not aware of all those vocabulary because I'm not a specialist, but I read that and I don't want to describe it because maybe I will not say it right. Mobile health and applications, Project AI Rig or AI Rigor, Project Glass Box, Project Ship of Thesis. So you see here that there are a lot of specific things that are for this artificial intelligence or software industry. So you have if you are on this business and if you are going to the MHRA or to the UK market, you have to understand that there are a lot of things that are done there, and you are maybe interested to read what they are doing, what is the project, what is exactly the program that they are talking about. Everything is on the show notes, as I said, so you can go and check that if you are on the artificial intelligence business. Next is about MHRA, still with the transition to the new MHRA or UK regulation for medical devices. So they have published a web page with a lot of documentation, PDF, for the consultation regarding the medical device regulation in the UK. So mainly you know that CE marking is accepted in the UK for medical devices until June 2023. Then after that you have to move to the UKCA, and here they are publishing the legislation that will be in place. And this is important that you check it if you are on this medical device business, and if you want to have some impact to it, because this consultation is really important. It ends, I think, the 25th of November. So you can see all the chapters, all the questions. Also, there are some questions inside. It's not like giving you just the text and all. They are asking you specific questions at certain points, so that you can tell, yes, you prefer this or you prefer that. And there is then a possibility for you to answer this consultation and to give your comments or proposal to the MHRA. So go also to the show notes and check all the information related to this consultation. There are 17 chapters of documents that you have to look at. So maybe if you are not interested to everything, there is maybe a specific section that is really important for you. So you can go just to this section, and then you will be providing your comment for this section specifically. And lastly, the MHRA also is issuing a webinar for consulting on the future of medical device regulation for the industry. So this is something that is already available, and you can look at that. So this is, you can register, for it. So you register, and you can get access to it. So I think it will be interesting because they will talk mainly about the next situation related to MHRA regulation. So if you want to be aware of this, then this is maybe the right place to go. And the last point about MHRA. So MHRA is also warning about renewals. So what does it mean? It means that when you are registering, for example, I with Easy Medical Device, I'm registering a lot of devices as UK responsible person for manufacturers. So they are asking us to verify the registration again, to verify that everything is fine, or to update the registration. And they are asking to do that every year or every 2 years in future, but the first year will be every year. So it means that if you have created you have registered your products before, for example, January 2021, then you will be warned by January 2022 to do a check of the products again and to verify if there is any renewal to be done. But the anniversary of the first anniversary of your registration, MHRA will ask you to just make a check and verify that everything is fine. It is recommended by them to verify, as I've said, every year or every 2 years, but to update each time there is a need for that. Okay, let's go now to Spain. So Spain has issued with the AEMPS, which is the authority in Spain for medical devices, and the Carlos III Health Institute, a national registry for circulatory and respiratory assistance devices in Spain. So mainly this is a combined effort to gather information about devices that are used for circulatory and respiratory. So mainly the objective is to gather information and then to define what are the situation about those devices, what they are doing, and how it is working. So if you want to know more, go on the show notes. There is also a video that they are publishing. So if you are a manufacturer of a circulatory or respiratory device, you can maybe look at what they are doing there, and maybe your device will be part also of this registry, because there is around 5 or 6 associations, medical associations, that will be part also of this program. So this can be maybe something where you can also get some information about it. So go on the show notes and you will see also the link. The other thing is that the EMPS, so the Spanish Health Authority, also informed about something. So as we told, Swiss is now exited from the European Union. It means that any Swiss manufacturer that wants to sell their products in Europe, they have now to update their labels to include an authorized representative and maybe also an importer. And the thing is that the Spanish authority give a deadline until September 30th, 2021 to do this change to manufacturers. But apparently it's too short for a lot of manufacturers. So now they accepted to do this transition until September 30th, 2022, so 1 year later. But what's the situation with other countries? So mainly, apparently, this is a Spanish decision. Are other countries also deciding the same? So there is no harmonization here. Each country is deciding what they are doing, apparently. But Spain said mainly that they will extend this element for the manufacturers. Okay, now let's go to the US with the FDA that has published now an update related to the registration and listing of devices within the US. The fee for 2022 is now public, and it is about $5,672 for small or big businesses or standard businesses. So this is something that normally every year is paid by the manufacturers that are registered within the US. So you have to go there and to check if you are subject to this. I have also put on the show notes a link where it is mentioning if you are subject to this payment or not. It tells you if you are an importer or a distributor or manufacturer or whatever. Then it tells you exactly if you have to pay or not this fee, who is obliged to pay this fee or not. So go to the show notes and check that directly. Okay, so notified bodies. So what's the situation for notified bodies? So this month in September, we had one additional notified body for MDR, which is TÜV Rheinland Italia SRL. So mainly this notified body is now accredited for EUMDR 2017-745. And we have the count, which is 23 notified bodies under MDR and 6 under IVDR. So the number is still low. We are really a bit disappointed somehow to say that we are nearly at the end of 2021 still at 23 notified bodies for MDR. But worst, as we said before, 6 for IVDR is really nothing, and this is mainly something that can be of concern for a lot of manufacturers. So yeah, please, more notified bodies for manufacturers. So I have a lot of manufacturers that are contacting me and trying to get an audit by end of this year, and I already tell them it's impossible nearly if you don't have already a notified body to get audited by end of this year. So mainly there will be, as I've said to you, a long list, a waiting list that the notified bodies will be building. So this is a really bad situation for everyone, but you have to understand that this is not something that mainly a lot of manufacturers were anticipating, and this is mainly the reason now. So be strong and try to understand the situation also of notified bodies. We discussed that with a lot of them, and they know the situation and they are really sorry for that, but there is no real choice here. Now, guidances. So we don't have this month any MDCG guidance that were issued. So mainly, maybe there will be more that will be coming, but now there is no MDCG guidance more, but there are some other guidances that were issued. For example, the first one is about MHRA that issued a guidance on the borderline with medical devices. As I've told you before, there can be some conflicts in terms of classification of medical devices, and here they are talking more about qualification of medical devices. Is this a medical device or not? And they received maybe a lot of questions because of the Brexit, because sometimes MHRA is not considering the medical device the same as for Europe, so it's why it's important to have this document. So this guideline is providing you with the information, is this a medical device or not within the UK market. And for example, you have some example like biocides, where we can decide yes or no, it's a medical device. If it is a biocide for disinfecting medical devices, then yes, it's a medical device. If it's a biocide for general use, like room cleaning or whatever, no, it's not a medical device. So you have to understand that. So there is a lot of elements that were discussed on this guidance, like personal protective equipment, like software. So you can go through that to understand if your product is a medical device or not. They talk also about product for sport, for leisure, where they say it can be a medical device in certain conditions. So you can also look at that and define it. So if you are asking yourself, maybe my product is not a medical device, you have now this guidance to help you. And the US issued a guidance related to the e-submission, so electronic submission of FDA 510K. So they are explaining to you how to present your documentation, how to present all the information. They give you also a table with all the chapters that should be on your 510K, how it is delivered, etc. So this is maybe something that can help you in case you will be submitting electronically your 510K. There is all the information inside, and there is a lot of links on how this and how that. So if you are in the process now, maybe this one will be really something that will help you for the submission. If you have any other question anywhere on any of what we talked about, even the 510K submission, don't hesitate. Send me an email at info@easymedicaldevice.com, info@easymedicaldevice.com, and we can talk about that and I can guide you on this. Okay, so what happened within Easy Medical Device last month? So on the podcast, we had 4 episodes. The first episode, episode 144, where we talked about the fact that is it good or not, a good idea or not to sue your notified body. So we had that with Eric Volbrecht. It was really a great episode because mainly we talked about things that are a lot of manufacturers are telling us, asking, notified body is too late for this, or they are not doing that correctly, or they are providing me too much non-conformances, etc. Can I sue them? Because mainly I'm paying them to be providing me a certificate. But yeah, listen to this episode because we provide all the elements where we say when you can sue them, when maybe it's not a good idea, what is maybe a strategy to go and discuss with them, etc., etc. Because there are some non-return point, if I can say, and we discussed that also within the episode, because as soon as you reach a certain limit, you cannot go back, and also notified bodies cannot do anything for you anymore. So this is something that you have really to understand. So don't hesitate, go to episode 144 on the show notes for looking at that. Next episode 145, it's about how to manage the IVDR transitional period. So I tried on this episode to explain to you the IVDR transition period, the fact that in 26th of May 2022, then a transition period can start, but that 97% of the products that are already on the market will not benefit from this transition period, that maybe a few of them will benefit, which means that every product should be IVDR compliant by May 26, 2022, which is a challenge, as we discussed just before also with the Medtech Europe survey. So if you are an IVDR company and you want more detail about that, you can go on this episode and you will understand why the transition period can be really a nightmare for you. The next one is about episode 146, how to collect clinical data in the 21st century. So mainly we talked with Jon Bergsteinson from SmartReal about the fact that we are not collecting anymore those clinical data through paper, but through digital tools. And we talked about the advantages, the inconvenience, who is using those digital tools, the fact that now, it's becoming more and more common to use digitalization for that. And the last episode, episode 147, which is why does importer and distributor need a notified body? And we had that with Eric Volbrecht. So you have to know that Article 16.4 is requiring you to have a quality management system, to have some documentation, etc. in case you are doing translation or repackaging of your device, if you are an importer and a distributor. So we tell you exactly when you need to have a notified body or when you don't need. And there is an IMDCG guidance related to that, and the fact is there are some importer distributor that will maybe need to stop translation or repackaging of their products if they want to move forward without a notified body. Otherwise, they will need a notified body, and as we discussed since the beginning, obtaining a notified body, asking them to come to make an audit can be a nightmare. And this should be available by now. It's not like in 3 months or there is transition. No, it's by now. So there is this MDCG guidance that exists, but you can go to the episode 147 to get more information about this article and the interpretation of this article. Okay, so it was a pleasure to have you on this podcast episode. I hope really that all the information here were helpful for you. As I've said, if you have any information, if you need any information, if you need also support for your products, for your projects, don't hesitate to send me an email at info@easymedicaldevice.com, info@easymedicaldevice.com, and I will try to help you there. So if you are listening to this podcast, if you are also looking at the video, don't hesitate to make a like or a comment also, or share that also with your colleagues that are really needing to understand more medical device regulation. It would be really a pleasure for me that I can help more people through you. So thank you very much, and I wish you a nice day.